This video is about review for quadratic functions. There are three forms for quadratic functions. One we call standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. One is called intercept form, y equals a times x minus x1 times x minus x2. Last one is called the vertex form, y equals ax minus h squared plus k. Here's the relationship between two. From standard form, how you go to intercept form. You can use the quadratic formula to get the x1 and x2, or by factoring or graphing, you can figure out these two solutions. Then use this formula, you can get this intersect form. As we know, for the vertex form, the vertex, that is hk. And x equals h, we call this is a symmetric line. And this symmetric line, x equals h, this h equals x1 plus x2 over 2. In other words, the two roots will be symmetric across x equals h. And from this standard form, here h equals negative b over 2a, k equals f of h. How you remember this h? Check this quadratic formula. Negative b over 2a, this equals h. You need to remember the h equals x1 plus x2 over 2. Also the h equals negative b over 2a. K always equals to f of h. Let's talk about properties of the graph of a quadratic function. The vertex, that's h, equals negative b over 2a. The k equals f of h. Axis of symmetry, the line will be vertical line, x equals negative b over 2a. When a greater than 0, which means the parabola open up, will be like this. So you will have a minimum value. Then the range will be y greater than or equals to this k. Because for this minimum, that's hk. Parabola open down if a less than 0. Do like this. This will be maximum value. Vertex still hk. And for the range, will be y less than equals to k. Let's look at the specific graph. This is a vertex, hk. Then you will have vertical line. This will be x equals h. We call this is a axis of symmetry. This h equals negative b over 2a. Let's analyze these two graphs. First of all, this open up, which means a greater than 0. This graph open down means a less than 0. For the vertex, This will be 3, negative 4. This one is a 3, 4. For the axis of symmetry, this will be x equals 3. This is the axis of symmetry, still x equals to 3. And f of 3, that's equals to negative 4. Here, f of 3, that's equals to 4. This is your h, here's k. H and k. For the range, since for this graph we have minimum points, that's why we do y greater than equals to negative 4. For second graph range, we have a maximum point. Therefore, you have y less than equals to 4. Then check this is a y-intercept. That is a 0, 5. Y-intercept, it's a 0, negative 5. Then for the x-axis, you have a 1, 0 and a 5, 0. You can check this h equals x1 plus x2 over 2. So you have this 3 equals 1 plus 5 over 2. Same thing. This is a 1, 0, 5, 0. Then this h, that's a 3 equals 1 plus 5 over 2. When you sketch the graph, remember the key points, which means you have x-intercept and a y-intercept. And then it's a vertex. In other words, you could say it's minimum or maximum point. We call these 3 is key points. When you sketch the graph, you have to show these key points. Now let's go to 2a. A quadratic function f is given by this. The points 0, 5 and negative 4, 5 lines on the graph y equals f of x. Find the equation of axis of symmetry of the graph of y equals f of x. First of all, remember this fact: when y coordinates the same, then the x coordinates will be symmetrical across this x equals h. Therefore, since this 5, y coordinates are the same, therefore x equals h equals 0 plus negative 4 over 2 equals negative 2. Therefore, x equals negative 2 will be the axis of symmetry of the graph. Write down the value of C. When you are given the points on the graph, you just need to plug in. Therefore, I plug in 0 and 5. This is x, this is y. Go to y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. You will get the y equals 5. A times 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c. So C equals 5 because these two both are 0. In other words, for this C, remember that's a y-intercept. C equals 5. Go to 2C. The y-coordinate of minimum of the graph is 3. Minimum, that means K equals f of h. Find the value of A and B. K equals f of h, which means this h equals -2. K equals f of -2. We plug -2 to this function. You are supposed to get 3. So we plug -2 to this function now. You will get the A times -2 squared plus B times -2. Then plus C. C is 5 equals 3. Let's organize. You will get the 4A minus 2B. Move 3 the other side. This will be a -2. You can divide it by 2 both sides. So you will have 2A minus B equals -1. Another relationship between A and B, remember H equals -B over 2A. Your H equals -2 equals -B over 2A. Then cross multiply. Here's negative both we change into positive. Then cross multiply. B equals 4A. Therefore, I need to plug in B equals 4A. This equation to here. You will get 2A minus 4A equals -1. -2A equals -1, so A equals 1/2. Then you need to get a B. B equals, I plug into here, 4 times 1/2. You will get the 2. Therefore, A equals 1/2 and B equals 2 will be the solution. Let's go to 3A. The axis of a symmetry of a graph of a quadratic function has equation x equals -1/2. Draw the axis of a symmetry on the following axis. You will find the -1/2 is here. X equals -1/2. The graph of a quadratic function intersects the x-axis at a point n to 0. We label as n to 0. There is a second point M at which the graph of a quadratic function intersects the x-axis. Clearly mark and label point M on the axis. Since h equals x1 plus x2 over 2, therefore remember that x2 equals 2h minus x1. You can plug in 2 times -1/2 minus 2. That equals -3. Or since this axis of symmetry is midpoint of these two roots. Therefore, I just count the units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could see this will be -3, 0. Find the value of B and the value of C. Given that y-intercept is negative 6, find the value of B and the value of C. Remember, here's the rule. Whenever you are looking for A, B, C, if you are given this H, you have to use this formula, H equals negative B over 2A. Because from this H, you can get the relationship between A and B. Therefore, we know this H equals negative 1/2. You will write down negative B over 2A. Then cross multiply. Negative, negative, that's positive. Both sides will change sign. You will get 2A equals 2B, means A equals B. This is the first equation. Second equation, we got to use one root. That's xy. So we plug in y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. You are given this y-intercept, that's c equals negative 6. Now we plug in y here will be 0 equals a times 2 squared plus b times 2, then minus 6. You will get the 4a plus 2b minus 6 equals to 0. Move this 6 to the left side. You will get 6 equals 4a plus 2b. Then I use this a equals to b. I plug in. You will get 4b plus 2b equals 6. 6b equals 6. Therefore, b equals 1, which means a equals 1, b equals 1, c equals negative 6. For second one, draw the graph of the function on axis. We already know negative 6, that is a y-intercept. Since we already got the a equals 1, b equals 1, c equals negative 6, you can get the y equals x squared plus x minus 6. Therefore, for f of negative 1/2, you will get the negative 1/2 squared plus negative 1/2 minus 6. You will get the negative 25 over 4, which means negative 6.25. I want to change this vertex into decimal so that it's easier to locate this vertex. Vertex will be here. This is the one. Remember the key points. So connect all these key points. That's it.